Escape the toxic cycle holding you back right now. Now, a word on how to dismount the hamster wheel of doom with your dignity intact. The intoxicating merry-go-round of toxic patterns where you exert maximum effort yet experience minimal growth and blame yourself for not reaching the glittering castle everyone else seems to live in. Charming, isn't it? You've heard this before. Maybe if I try harder, things might change. It's not that bad, right? I can fix this. I just need to be more patient, more forgiving, more loving, more everything. Really? Tell me, have you composed this tragic little sonnet before, where the only thing growing is your exhaustion, and the only thing changing is your sense of self slowly eroding? I'm Dylan Moore, author, cognitive behavior specialist, and devoted advocate for women's empowerment and men's emotional healing. In this discourse, let's unveil transformative strategies to restore your balance, reclaim your power, and anchor you in unshakable strength, while exposing those inherited beliefs that gaslight us into self-doubt and dismantle the emotional nonsense we have been conditioned to accept as normal. Now, let's discuss why toxic cycles feel so familiar and why that's really not a compliment. If you feel like you're sprinting towards happiness, but somehow end up face planting into disappointment, please consider the following. You have normalized dysfunction because it felt familiar. It's astonishing how chaos can feel like home if that's what we were handed in childhood. You mistook survival strategies for personality traits. People-pleasing, emotional suppression, perfectionism, all badges of honor that slowly suffocate your spirit. You confuse peace with boredom, because when you've lived inside perpetual chaos, calm actually feels suspicious at best, unbearable at worst. You've inherited patterns, not just eye color, toxic thinking, emotional self-abandonment, drama addiction. It wasn't your idea, but it became your norm. And you over-identified your thoughts. Spoiler alert, you're not the voice in your head that tells you you're failing. You're the one hearing it. The clinical insight: trauma loops, fawn response, and core distortion. Now, from a therapeutic lens, staying trapped in toxic cycles often stems from unresolved trauma loops, repeating dynamics you subconsciously recreate because they feel normal. It's also tied to fawn response, over-accommodation for survival, and core beliefs, distortions like, I must suffer in order to be worthy. CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, emphasizes that healing those loops begins when you identify, then challenge the distorted thoughts keeping you loyal to cycles that you never signed up for in the first place. You are not defective, you were conditioned. And conditioning, mercifully, can be rewritten. Now, let's examine the hidden cost of staying trapped in toxic cycles. You mistake familiarity for safety. Not everything familiar is safe. Some familiarity is simply trauma wearing a comfortable cardigan. You delay happiness indefinitely. I'll be happy when is the anthem that is perpetually exhausted. You continue scripting roles for people who never bother to audition. Stop casting villains and calling it loyalty. You become complicit in your own stagnation, not because you're weak, but because a cage was disguised as a castle. Now, let's break the cycle without guilt and self-flagellation. Name the pattern out loud. Do it. Saying I'm stuck in a cycle of blank transforms the shadow into targets. Interrupt the autopilot with conscious choices. If chaos feels familiar, choose calm, even if your brain screams boring in protest. Set boundaries like your life depends on it, because it does, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. Detach your worth from your struggle. You don't earn love or value by enduring suffering like being a tragic heroine. Reclaim agency over your narrative. You are not a passive character in someone else's poorly written drama. Why this actually works according to therapy, not just inspirational memes. In cognitive behavioral therapy, breaking toxic cycle involves cognitive restructuring, identifying, challenging, and replacing distorted thought patterns and unhealthy behaviors. You stop feeding the cycles by catching yourself in real time and choosing differently. Calm over chaos, clarity over confusion, peace over performance and suffering. Therapeutically, it's called pattern interrupt, and it's one of the most profound acts of self-liberation you'll ever undertake. Each conscious choice towards health rewires your nervous system, pulling you out of survival mode and into a new state of authentic living. And now, a scandalously refreshing realization. You were not born to tread water in a sea of emotional debris. You were not designed to stay small inside cycles meant to keep you manageable. Let us be deliciously candid. You owe no loyalty to the patterns that are killing your joy. None whatsoever. So, tell me, what toxic cycle have you bravely been stepping off of today? And more importantly, what radiant future is now possible because you dare to choose yourself? Drop a like or comment below. Let's normalize the divine rebellion of escaping what was never meant to define us. Remember, together we rise, together we thrive. Let's rise fierce into a new life of personal power and freedom.